All right, it's time for Yogi and the Beach Man. Hi, I'm Jim the Yogi.
And I'm Rick Beach, the Beach Man.
We're two Michigan transplants now living in Southwest Florida.
In fact, we're cousins born in 1964, just a month apart.
I like to meditate.
And I like to play bass in a band.
I'm into chanting Om.
And I'm into throwing down some classic rock.
But together, we're on a mission
to promote people that are helping other people.
We want to make the world a better place.
One conversation at a time.
So sit back,
turn up the volume,
and get ready to laugh.
Because we like to have fun
while we spread the love.
Interviewing lovely people. Yes, we have fun.
Welcome to Yogi and the Beach Man. Today we have Ivy Abrams with us from Michigan. She is the founder of the Mystical Soul Work. She's a soul coach, intuitive and divinely guided counseling that she does, and she's a trained shamanic practitioner. Hey, Ivy, I'm Jim, the Yogi.
Hi, Ivy, I'm Rick Beach, the Beach Man. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Hi, guys. Yeah, great to be here.
We're thrilled to have you on the show. We really appreciate you taking time to be with us today.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, did you have questions about some of this shamanic stuff?
Well, I'm sure we'll get the soul coach, but yeah, one thing that popped out is what is a trained shamanic practitioner?
So shamanism is one of the oldest healing modalities that exists. It derived in Siberia, and it's about 10,000 years old. If you look on Wikipedia, it will tell you it's a religion, but from my understanding, my learning, my teachers, and my guides, it is not a religion, it's a practice. And when we do shamanic healing work, the practitioner goes into an altered state, kind of like a very deep meditation. And this is where I and other practitioners or shamans work with their guides to help heal the individual.
And is this done just naturally through meditation? I think some cultures use like different herbs or ayahuasca or different things to get to that altered state?
Yes, you will find various techniques depending on the culture of the country. I don't use drugs to get to an altered state. I don't judge it. I've heard things about both ways, but I can get to an altered state without using a substance. And I think if you've done any kind of deep meditation, anyone that has knows that you can get to deeper states.
Yeah, absolutely.
You started out your answer by calling it a healing modality.
Correct.
I'm not sure what that means.
So the shamanic work that I do, which is separate from soul coaching and other things that I do, is for healing predominantly. It's to help an individual heal. Many people are holding on to old stories that they hold about themselves, or old stories that other people told them who they are, things of that sort. And so we can go in and help remove those stories, because everything is energy. It's kind of a complicated thing to explain, but everything is energy. We have something called soul loss. So something as simple as being embarrassed in front of your class by the teacher. A child could have soul loss. A car accident, we can have soul loss. Of course, there's deeper traumas that we know that people endure. You can have soul loss. So the shaman will go in and find that soul loss, where it's missing, where it is, track it down, and bring it back to the individual. We also have soul thieves. Pardon my lighting here. So sometimes our parents, our spouses, even our kids can take parts of us, our friends, and not always intentionally. And then there is soul loss there. And I do this all remotely. I do not do in-person work any longer. So time and space does not matter. I don't know if that's answering your question, Rick.
No, it is. Because we've had other guests on in the last few months, and I'm kind of getting the verbiage and the because if you aren't familiar with some of these terms, I mean, and then think part of my job is sitting next to Jim when we're talking about stuff like this is to ask those questions from the aspect of someone who doesn't really know anything about this, because I really don't.
Exactly.
So I'm becoming more educated by meeting people like you and stuff like that. So so it did. Thank you.
Yeah.
So let's get back to soul coaching. Sounds like that's your real vibe.
Yeah, well, I'm very into the soul coaching. I've been running women's moon ceremonies for 7 years now. We work around the full moon, and women have been working with the energy of the moon since the beginning of time. And it's great for manifesting. And I know that sounds so generic, and people's like, oh, manifesting or a vision board might sound very elementary, but it is amazing the changes that those things can make in people's lives. I've had a woman who ended up buying a beautiful home on the beach in California, and she says it's from the manifesting that we did together. I had another woman that was an alcoholic, and she said she made a vision board with me in a class online, kept it in her living room, looked at it every day, and a year later she called me and said that was what changed her. She gave up alcohol. So I'm answering your question sort of indirectly, but it's basically just working again with our energy, getting rid of old stories, making space for new things, knowing that the dreams that you have can become your reality now.
Yeah. So you're describing what you do. How do you make the world a better place? How would you answer that question?
I would say by the work that I do with myself, my own healing, for sure, is number one, becoming a better person through my own healing and the traumas that I endured, but also passing that information on that I learned to other people so that they can become healed. And as we all know, you can't put out darkness with darkness, only with light. So I feel that we all have an inner light, and if I can assist anyone in expanding their light, that's it.
Okay.
Can you back up and go back into another key word, the manifesting? You had mentioned about the two ladies that one, and you said just by kind of go through the process and kind of explain it to me, like
Yeah, so it's like
3-year-old point of view.
Of course. What we think of is what we bring into our lives. What we focus on is what grows. So if we focus on negativity and we focus on everything that went wrong, and then we kind of stay stuck in that, victim mode or that depression, and not that it's not real, and I'm not saying, I'm going to give you another word, Rick. No spiritual bypassing, meaning if there's psychological issues, of course, take care of that medically, however needed. But in terms of, and I'm going to jump a little here because that's what I do. Gratitude to me is the biggest game changer. So waking up every morning, what are you grateful for? Every night before bed, what are you grateful for? And focus on that, whether it's the same thing every day, a cup of coffee, a bed, a roof over your head. And so you're shifting your mind, you're shifting your energy. You can do that in terms of physical illnesses, what we call dis-ease, to get rid of that and just see yourself healthy, see yourself happy. I've had people that want to meet a soulmate. I did this for myself. I'm married now. Next month will be 26 years. But manifest the soul. Thank you. Manifest what you want in the soul. Like, don't say, oh, I want that guy or that girl. You know what I mean? What's the energy that you want? Everything, as I repeat again, is energy. So we're thinking of, we're visualizing as if it already is. Seeing yourself healthy, seeing yourself in that loving relationship, seeing yourself with new friends. And sometimes it means letting go of some old things and relationships that are holding us back.
And then you said that these two particular instances, mentioned, it sounds cliche, like a vision board or something, but is that what you encourage people to do? Write this down? Or how do you get this manifesting going? And the reason I want to drill down on this a little bit is when we first started the podcast, we had a little different spin to it, and we pivoted over to this, which is really kind of cool. But because I don't know much about it, so I'm learning also. So we're about maybe 3 or 4 podcasts in, and I can't remember. We had someone who deals with energy and that's manifesting and stuff like that on. It was good conversation. And Jim had mentioned something. He goes, yeah, and I woke up a little bit, feeling a little crappy yesterday, and I just pounded out of my head. No, I'm not going to be sick. I'm not. I'm like, I literally was sitting here. Okay, Jim, whatever. I always think I'm going to go drink some orange juice. I'm going to make sure I get some sunshine. I'm going to load up on vitamin C and D. I'm not a pharmaceutical drug guy at all. Don't want to go to the doctors for the sniffles. I'm going to load up my body with what it needs. But fast forward a week or two later, I wake up, my sinuses, which I'm susceptible to sinus infections at certain times of the year, and my sinuses are blasted. I'm like, oh, it's back. And now I know I got to go get a prescription real quick, or else I'm going to get a bad sinus infection. If I don't go to call my doc right now, get ahead of it. And I said, okay, I'll try this. And then, like, really, that day and the next morning, I'm like, I'm not getting sick. I'm not letting this happen. I'm not doing this. It's just not. I feel great. I'm going to feel great tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. Next day, da, da, da. Now, here we are, fast forward 6, 7 months later. I'm much more educated on all this stuff, although not as obviously as much as you guys. But they definitely help. I haven't been sick at all.
I love it. Yeah, that's
And
awesome.
it's because I kind of just blow it away with Jim's I'm not going to get sick theory, which I believe is the same thing you just talked about with these ladies.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're manifesting.
Yeah, manifesting not being sick, but I never really thought about taking it to the house on the beach or, I just want to be healthy and
Have you ever done a vision board?
no.
Do you know what it is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's
So
awesome.
I guess that
I
should be
love
the
that.
next thing I do.
Yeah.
Since that obviously works. Or at least it does to me. And heck, as long as you believe it works, right?
You got it. There you go. Our minds are capable of so much more than any of us realize.
Even if it's anecdotal just to me, what does that matter, right?
Right?
It's like the placebo effect, right, guys?
100%.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
now one of you can explain what that is to someone that might not.
Placebo's effect is where you think you're getting something that's going to cause a result or a change in your life, but what you got was basically
A sugar pill.
a sugar pill or even
Saline
flour and a saline drop, something that would not cause those changes.
Yeah, isn't that mind blowing? And those people that thought they were getting the real medicine were cured,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It shows the power of our minds to be able to create. And I think the more you get into it, you realize that no matter where you are in life right now, it's based on all the thoughts you've had in the past, which have manifested this very moment right now. So whatever situation you're in, you can't blame others. You can't be the victim. You're in this situation because of your thoughts and everything you've done up to this point. So.
Absolutely. Now, I think where the tough part comes in is sometimes we have people in our lives that we feel that we need to stay in their lives. Because sometimes there's people and you say, okay, this energy is just not working for me. It's too zapping. It's unhealthy. This one gossips, whatever, I don't want that. But sometimes when it's in our own family or someone close to us, it's really hard to do. And that also can get into cord cutting and other shamanic practices where we just sort of remove the ethereal cord, the unhealthy ones, but leave the healthy ones there.
Sure. Yeah, I've definitely done that with family. My own mom, she's passed now, but there was a time in my life where I said, look, if you're not going to go get help and make changes in your life, I'm done with you. I'm just done with this cycle of abuse and repetition. It's just not working for me. You go get help. We can have a relationship down the road. And I didn't talk to her for over 10 years
Wow.
at all, and
And how was that feeling when you didn't?
I was fine with it because I wasn't going through that cycle of niceness, negativity, abuse that she would, over and over again, the way she would treat me. And then, she made some changes in her life. I made some changes in my life, and we started having a relationship again. But if you're gonna treat
That
me
was
bad,
very
I don't need
courageous
you.
of you, though. Like really awesome.
Yeah, some people think it's pretty mean to move away from your mom like that and not have a relationship with her. But it's causing you bad health and bad vibes and just
Yeah.
beating you down, it's not worth it to me.
I hear you. And it's hurtful to us, at least for me, and when I have to do that with someone I love, but that's what we got to do sometimes for our own health. And then it's nice that it ended up that she made some changes and you were able to have something together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. It can be, those can be tough decisions, but it's like, man. I talked to somebody else about this on another podcast about ghosting like that. And they're saying, it's not the ghosting, it's the intention behind it. If you send them light and love and just like, everything's, you don't have any ill will towards them. You just don't want that in your life anymore, then that's fine. So
Exactly. And I work only in love and light. I mean, other than when I'm removing, things that are dark, in terms of soul retrieval and energy work. But yeah, if you work in love and light and you're sending love out, again, gratitude being the game changer. And back to what you were saying, Rick, just being thankful every day, for whatever, for that moment when you're waking up, when you're sleeping. But in the moon ceremonies, they're pretty cool. Again, we're on Zoom now. We used to be in my office in Ferndale, but I haven't had an office since COVID. So it's
that
just,
damn COVID.
I know that damn, but it worked out really good, to be honest.
Yeah.
I like the virtual work better for me.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I get a little anxiety, I'm not gonna lie. And so this way I'm just like in my space and I can, things happen for a reason for everybody. But I encourage, I know there's a lot of men that also like to do this work, but I encourage people to try to work with the energy of the moon. And today is the 11/11 portal. I love that we scheduled this on November 11th, which is an angelic number. 11/11 is a very powerful angelic number. So I could see Rick's ready to ask me a question.
No, I saw that on your Facebook. It was something 11/11, and then I was just I've been listening and watching your stuff most of the morning, off and on through between work stuff, and I did just come across it. That was on my list to ask you about.
Yeah. Just certain times. You can always do energy work. You can always connect with people on the other side if that's, your intention. Like sometimes I don't call myself a medium, but sometimes I'll have loved ones for my clients come through. But there's certain times of the year where we say the veil is thin, where you can connect more easily, or portals open on certain dates. So with 11/11, it's a nice angel number. It's pretty much you've got the pillars, the 11/11 pillars, which hold a lot of strength and leave an opening, so to speak, just to higher realms. And the Akashic Records, which is the book of life, which
Explain that.
um,
A lot of people aren't going to understand what that is.
yeah, most religions will talk about the book of life, or at least our basic popular religions, Christianity, Judaism, I'm not sure which others have some kind of book of life. So that we call the Akashic Records is pretty much the same thing. Everything we've ever been, everything we are, and everything we will be is in the book of life, the Akashic Records. So
where does that exist?
It's in another realm. So pretty much in shamanism, this is the middle realm. When we do deep work, we go to the lower realm, which is very earthly. And then there's an upper realm, which is very ethereal. And somewhere beyond that is the Akashic Records, which is a huge library of everybody's book. And what my understanding is from my guides, my teachers, is that we all go through a review when we cross over and we go into the Akashic, the Akasha is also called, and go through this book of life. And we come back, we reincarnate, this body being just a vessel that's temporary in this lifetime, but our soul will keep reincarnating. Some souls do not, but usually we'll reincarnate into another body. But the book of life, you go through, like you hear about karma and things like that. And I don't believe that it's always that you pay. I think it's a very loving place is what I'm shown. Is that making sense?
So the book of life is not a physical.
Look,
No, it's
It exists
in the cosmos.
in the next ethereal realm.
Like, right, like there's so many realms, and we say up and down, but really everything's the same, which is hard for our human minds to understand that we're multiple lives are happening at one time. But the way we're able to see it, it's up and down inside, linear.
Oh, sure.
I once heard that it's located like in every cell of all of life. So I don't
That
know.
makes sense
Yeah.
because everything is connected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Science is proving that more and more.
That we're living in a simulation.
Know that everything's connected. Like mycelium grows under the ground, and connects all the trees and plants together. They're
Yes.
they're learning how trees and plants communicate with one another to share resources. So it's pretty
It's
interesting.
beautiful, but most people do want to hear the scientific view and not
Yeah.
just, right, the
Yeah.
spiritual. And shamanism is also very earth-based. We connect with the trees and Mother Earth, and we work with the elements, the earth, wind, fire, and water, and the four directions. And we call in the four directions when we're doing a ceremony, just to open sacred space and create a welcoming environment for this divine intervention.
Yeah. Tell me more about the moon ceremonies, what those look like.
So basically, it's everybody just, we used to have everybody bring something to share, which is still welcome, like a physical object, but we've gotten more into the women that attend, they're looking for a place where they can be themselves with other like-minded people. They feel like their families aren't understanding their spirituality. And so they have a chance to share things that have happened, maybe synchronicities, numbers or signs that have come from loved ones, whether it was a bird or a coin or, a time on the clock that their loved one, crossed over and it keeps popping up. So we share that. I lead a grounding meditation so that we get into a theta state, which is very relaxed, so that we're hopefully not using our thinking monkey minds. And then as everyone's their eyes are still closed, I'll pick up my shamanic drum behind me. And I will play the drum and do guided imagery. So I also do non-guided imagery, but we usually do guided imagery where I take them on a little stroll to the lower realm and help them release what needs to be released using some words that will help them. And then we call in what they're ready to bring in, but they each get to visualize in their own journey what that is.
And these are live events?
These
Or
are all done on Zoom.
they
So
are Zoom,
we have
okay.
people from all over the country that join us. And, there's small groups, but we get people from everywhere. Yeah.
For some reason, I was picturing this around a campfire.
Same, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I have
Under the
done
moon.
those. And I do a few in-person things in the Ferndale area with clients that I've already worked with. But most of the things are on Zoom, yeah. And we have a traveling fire bowl. So
Oh, that's very cool. I was going to compliment you on your really nice set behind you.
oh, thank you.
Yeah, it looks cool.
Yeah.
We had a guest on a couple weeks ago who's a personal friend of mine, Risa, and you and her are very similar, and
Very spiritual.
She has this area on her little farm, and she does herbs, and she's very holistic and like-minded with you for sure. And she has this area, and I said, "Oh, Risa will have to get Jim back in the fire pit area." And she was like, "Oh no, only I gotta know you pretty well before you're gonna get back in this special part of my farm, you know." And she just but but it was to her, and I've been invited back there, and I didn't realize it till we just talked to her a couple weeks ago, that how special it was to even be able to go there. And it's like a part of her backyard, of her little personal area around where her residence is on this small farm. And but I thought that I did take some. Uh, it did solace that I did get the privilege to already go there, and
It was
boy,
her
got to get you
sacred
invited there.
space.
It
Yeah,
really was,
it
and
was sacred to her. It
and
is
she does
sacred.
full moons, and she does full moon monthly type when the weather's nice. Into that kind of same type of thing that you were talking.
Yes, and so I did start to bring back the new moon in person with my regular clients. So you visualize, see you were seeing something. We just had one here. Sometime they're out by the fire in my yard. Sometime they're in my living room. So you were seeing that. You were seeing that already.
And I could really see how, because I'm kind of in a traveling mode, trying to get my head around all this stuff. Very open to it, but still not really grasping all the intricacies and nuances. But as I learn more about it, I think about how, because I'm like a real science and math, I gotta see how things work, and this obviously is a stretch, right? When you're trying to get your head around this stuff. But as I put more and more of it in practice, I can really see how it works. Number one, and I'm becoming not not that I'm not a believer. I think that, but less of a skeptic. How's that? Is that
Yeah, I hear it.
because I was so black and white. Well, this is the way this is, and since I can't touch it, feel it, because I've been trying to recently become much more not only spiritual but just more in touch with going with God and that religious aspect that I've been wavered in and out of throughout my life. So this is just kind of an extension of that, I think.
To be more mindful and more spiritual.
Yeah.
And really, someone can do it. I'm sorry about the lighting, guys.
I just
That's
like when
okay.
I like when you have to just make
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
She
like
waves her arm and there is more light.
bewitched
let
or
there be light.
yes, timer. But people can do 5 minutes a day, really. Could just close your eyes and feel the divine light going through you and center yourself. Maybe connect the light then to Mother Earth and feel grounded. Light a candle, make a small ceremony. You don't really need stuff. It's all in our head. I like stuff, but you don't need stuff.
Sure.
Well, when you mentioned at the beginning, and Jim mentioned, some of the shamanistic process. I know ayahuasca is a big thing. If you go to South America to these ceremonies, and I've heard, firsthand people talk about their experiences doing that. But then you have these monks, which I watched like a special on it several months ago, and they really go into meditation for sometimes 12, 15, 20 hours a day, and they're just meditating and going there. And I think it was maybe on a Joe Rogan episode that they were talking about the DMT, that having a DMT trip can be achieved by meditation, where it gets you to cross over to these other realms and other consciousnesses.
Mhm.
And so we all have the innate ability to make that happen. And that's what I thought in my head when you said you don't need drugs to get there. So do you believe, well, what is your theory about how you get there through meditation? Are you getting a chemical reaction that your meditation actually promoting
Yeah.
inside your head?
I believe it's chemical. And again, I'm going to use the word energy, but there's a lot of things that we can think of in our mind that seem very real. I mean, you can think of an erotic image in your mind, and oftentimes that's all somebody needs, right? It's just what you're thinking of, or you can think of a food you like and you can almost taste it. So it's just taking it to the next level, and you don't have to meditate for 12 hours. Not everybody is visual, but you can still get your head space in there.
Well, I think the point to the monk thing is that's why they were meditating for 12 to 15 hours, because they were getting to this DMT altered state just by releasing the chemicals in their own brains that are causing allowing them to transcend and actually spend their lives in a different consciousness. Or the theory was really cool. It was a good conversation. And
It sounds interesting. I'd like to check
Mhm.
that out. I use the drum because that is like a sonic sound that can also take you, music or sound can take
Hmm.
you to other realms and realities or other states of mind quicker. Like the drum is often compared to the heartbeat of Mother Earth, right? So, and this being the horse, I made this drum, so I feel very connected. It's one of my spirit animals. We haven't really talked about that yet, but yeah, you can do it through sound, sonic sound, and get into another space. I don't know about 12 hours a day. That wouldn't be for me, but I'm
No, but
sure
these
it's,
guys
Me
actually
neither.
do this. These Buddhist guys that are in
yeah,
Tibet or whatever, and they
Hmm.
spend their entire lives basically in a meditative state
Yeah.
uh, all the time. And once again, the theory was that they're not really there.
wow.
They've
See, and
trained
I want to
themselves
be
to.
there. Like, I'm not judging that at all.
No,
I want to be there. This whole thing, I did have to go like 5 years of my life. I was pretty quiet. I really broke off from all my friends that I knew since childhood. And I was very quiet and really deep into my work. But now I've come back to who I am, which is sometimes a very loud person as well as a quiet person, because I am in a human body and I am living in a 3D reality. And I want to enjoy the pleasures of this 3D reality. But I also want to be mindful of that part inside of me, which is my true essence. And so in the soul coaching and in our ceremonies, this is what we're looking for. Who are we authentically, and how can we live that life authentically without judging ourselves and being concerned with judgment of others?
That's a good space to be in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I notice a lot of younger, you know, kids in their 20s and 30s now are just so concerned with what other people think about them and how other people see them, and they basically spend their entire lives or young, in their until they realize that it just doesn't matter. Trying to make sure that other people don't think bad of them, and really, if they just looked inside and not cared. And I think I heard a quote on that same thing that real maturity begins when that you no longer give a crap what anyone else thinks about you. And
Yeah.
for me, I was that way probably till I was in my late 30s. But that's the same thing coming into that, having the women around the moon ceremonies that are all of like-minded. I think it's really important to not be judged in a situation like that, and that could really help people work through some of their issues when you are in that type of supportive arena, so to speak.
Yes, and you're right about the age group, because we do get, there are some younger people looking for the spiritual path early on, but so many of us, including myself, it took time that till we decided we wanted to change. Something had to give, right?
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Do you want to
Yeah.
talk a little bit about the guides and spirit animals that we
Yeah.
work?
Please do. Yeah.
So we all have guides, whether we know that we have them or not, whether we sense them, see them or not. I saw my first spirit animal at age 5. Um, and the angels also are here working with everybody, the archangels. So just calling upon them and letting them know that you need them, that you want them, that you're open to work with them. They're here for everybody. I didn't grow up with that in my religion. We didn't really talk about angels or in my household. But I'm so happy to have met them now. And so some of my Christian friends that said, "Oh yeah, we had that in church," and I would get somebody. I was like, "Your guide is Mary," and I didn't even know Mary, or Jesus came to me, and I was like, "I never knew Jesus. I'm so happy to meet him now." But it's very cool, and we get all these animals. I have a lot of pictures of my spirit animals around me. Actually wearing my owl right now too, my wise owl. But there are helpers and they're here and we all have them. And I tell some people, one of the podcasts I did earlier this year, we were talking about spirit animals, and I said, notice if you collect a certain animal around your house, like You might have a bunch of elephants in your decor or something. It's likely that that could be one of your spirit animals. So you can go into a shamanic journey and you can go in with the intention of, I'd like to meet my spirit animal. And you,
That is interesting because I have turtles and seahorses. And one of my favorite videos is watching a seahorse give birth to a bunch of other seahorses. And I was before this, I was a labor and delivery nurse.
wow. I got chills on that one, Tim. That's cool.
Never connected that.
Wow. Yeah. So why is that a favorite and why do you collect that? There's a definite connection. Yeah.
I like all things from the sea. So sea turtles, we have
Maybe
dolphins,
you had another
manatees.
life in the water worlds, Atlantis, or who knows?
Whale. I don't know.
Yeah.
That was
That's
a dad joke.
beautiful.
Whale.
Oh, I didn't even get it. I'm sitting here next to you.
That we always. My wife always tells me, "Don't make jokes. Nobody gets them."
I make dad jokes, but at least they're gettable. So,
I did the emphasis on whale.
but
Whale.
I would think if I had a spirit animal, it
Yeah.
would really just have to be dogs.
Yeah.
I mean, I just have a soft spot for every dog I see, except for pit bulls, and only because I worry about them a killing my dog.
Oh yeah.
But
My dog's
I
bad attack.
remember I'm still seriously traumatized. I don't even like thinking about it. But I'm just scrolling through YouTube a few years ago, and and I really don't even want to talk about it because it bothers me so much. And I saw these guys like in Southeast Asia or somewhere in Vietnam or Laos or Cambodia, and they're literally grabbing these dogs and they're taping them up their feet and their hands and just throw them in the back of a truck. And there's all these dogs, and who knows where they're going. And I watched like 6 seconds of it, and it still haunts me.
Mm.
That no, anyway, but
Yeah, that's a big trauma. That's a big trauma
Yeah.
that, and if you think of it or something triggers that thought, that's very, very uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And I really would think it would be dogs because I just love dogs. I give all my charity money to dogs. Every
Awesome.
dollar.
Awesome.
That's beautiful. Well, I can definitely resonate with that because I work a lot with cats. So when I work with what we call the medicine wheel and the four directions, a lot of my colleagues have different protectors for each direction, and all of mine were cats, wild cats. Like one was a leopard, one was a cheetah, like jaguar, whatever. So I get it. Yeah, animals are beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
I was just thinking about a couple months ago when the sea turtles were hatching on the beach. We happened to be there when one nest hatched in the morning, and some of the turtles weren't making it to the ocean. I don't know if you're supposed to do this or not,
You're not.
but but the beach is disturbed because all the footprints on it, like normally the beach sand would be nice and flat, but they're all disturbed and there's footprints and deep ruts. So some of the turtles get trapped in it and they fall upside down. And they're just going to die and bake in the sun. So I was going around. I think I collected 7 or 8 sea turtles that weren't making it and just put them close to the water. And then all of a sudden they'd be.
Oh no, yeah, you could try. I'm sure you could do that.
I would think so. I mean, not doing it just
How
seems
could you
cruel.
not want to? How could, yeah.
No, because
Right?
they get picked up, and if there had been a seagull around, it would have been gone.
Yeah, but their
They get
numbers are
eaten.
dwindling every year, so it just makes sense that they want you to do that. But
Sea turtles are cool.
yeah, really cool.
Yeah, those
It's
cute
fun when
little
you
guys.
Oh,
Well,
they're
it's
so
fun when
cute.
you're out on the boat, like off of Venice or Boca Grande, or I mean, literally just a few
Mhm.
minutes from here, and you can see a 150, 200-pound turtle on
Wow.
any given trip,
Yeah.
along with dolphins and manatees and
Mhm.
tarpon and huge fish. It's cool. It's a
Yeah.
really cool place to live. But I grew up, we grew up, like I said, just not far from you, up in around the Detroit area, and I just remember growing up watching Flipper.
Flipper. Oh yeah.
And I just
Yeah.
wanted to come here.
I
And then
loved that show. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then when I got out of the Navy, well, my parents ended up coming down, and that made it easier. But there was a Peter Frampton song on the Frampton Comes Alive album called "I Want to Go to the Sun," and I would listen to that when I was like plowing snow or shoveling a driveway in February or freezing. I would just put that song, play it over and over. And that song influenced me to just get out of there when I was young.
Rick, you've been meditating a long time. See, all that
I
stuff is
don't.
meditation. But that
Well, maybe.
meditation is
Mhm.
connecting with nature, like, right? Connecting with animals, the quiet time or the music. And music plays a really big part, I think, in this work. It's just, I often will get a song as a message for a client from a loved one, or it'll come through for me. And I might not even know this song. I'll go, but you're supposed to listen to this from grandma. And then later I'll go, what are the lyrics? And I'll look it up and I'll go, oh, that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, just connecting with nature, watching an animal, watching the sunset, the sunrise, that's meditation. Petting your dog, that's a meditation. It's a moment where you're just letting go of the thoughts of the day.
When you look at it like that, yeah,
Mhm.
I could see that. It's like guys focusing on golf or
Being in the zone.
but yeah, when you're just in the zone doing the thing.
Yeah.
I'm like that, and if I'm trying to learn, I mentioned to you earlier, I play in a local band here, but I've really been playing a lot recently, and I can be talked to. If someone can have a conversation, my girlfriend can walk out, talk to me for 30 seconds, and I just
Didn't hear a
it's
word.
blocked. I'm just so focused, and and she goes, "Man, your face looks different when you're doing that."
Wow.
And I can totally block everything.
Yeah.
There's no other thought. I get that way. I can do that fishing too.
Yeah. And you understand energy in music. Like Nirvana was on the radio when we were doing some work in my backyard, and you're like, turn the stuff that
No,
makes
it's
me
all
want to kill
dark.
myself off.
It's all dark.
Yeah.
I don't like to listen to that.
Right.
I can appreciate it, but I don't like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I've always
You like
liked
better
Nirvana.
energy music.
If I've always liked Nirvana and Kurt Cobain, I'm not a fan of his energy vibe because
Mhm.
it is all dark and
Right.
the minor chords and
When I'm angry, I like Nirvana on.
yeah,
It just,
yeah, or Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah.
yeah.
I like
All
getting ramped up.
aboard.
But it's
But
interesting that you guys are talking about Rick in that moment. Jim, you were saying how he just gets into. So we just brought up what I was like 10 days ago when I did the new moon thing over at my house. And we were talking about who remembered their first kiss, and, and how there was nobody else in the world. There was nothing else around. You didn't see the people in the room. You didn't even know they were there. You're just in that moment. Oh, hopefully it's not just the first kiss. Hopefully it's other kisses. But it's just that energy of being into whatever you're into, what you're doing at the moment.
Yeah. In the zone.
In the zone, yeah.
well, and I've been practicing that. I think it was Cal, the guy we had on a month or two back.
Yeah.
He gave us a little demo of how he brings people into the present moment, and he's like, "Hey, just close your eyes, feel the hair on your legs, the fan blowing on it, the air moving, the this, the that, if the birds chirping outside." So, like I said, recently I've been going to church, and part of the church I go to has an incredible band. One reason I like going there is because the music is just crazy good. And I sat there yesterday for like now the manyth time, and I just closed my eyes and I'm literally transported. I try to put what Cal said into action to feel just the energy.
Mhm.
And I've talked about this before to other folks, but I can literally just go away, and then I open back up my eyes maybe 3 or 4 minutes or 30 seconds later, and I'm like, oh, I
Yeah.
remember where I am now, and back to reality. But it's that true escape. And I
We
think this
also got to be careful of energy that we let in, like not just what we're bringing in, but what we allow in. So if I have somebody that's suffering from a lot of anxiety and fear, which has been out there in this world right now with the wars and the political stuff, I'll say, hey, turn off the news. Why do
Sure.
you keep feeding yourself with stuff that's feeding your fears and your anxiety? You can't sleep. Don't watch the news. Just see a headline here and there as needed, right? Because we can't expose ourselves to things that bring us down.
Right. Yeah, that's so important how that affects your vibration and your energy watching all that negative stuff.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
It's
Oh,
hard to
you're
find the good news station.
it is. Yeah. I was just thinking about when we're talking about these different kind of modalities for getting uh, inside or meditating. I used to run a lot, and for a while I lived up in northern Michigan at a yoga retreat center with some serious meditators. And when I would run, like 10, 13 miles or whatever, after 4, 5, 6 miles, you're in a zone. You're very, I mean, there's nothing else to think about but your breath, your stride, and the dirt, because I was running on trails. And that is so meditative. I mean, I've sat for and meditated for 6 hours before. And to me, I get more out of an hour or two of running, being in that deep zone of oneness with everything, than sitting and being stationary. And I have these discussions with some of these, longtime meditators, and oh no, it's totally different. You can't get to the same place. I'm like, no, go and do it because you can. It doesn't have to be sit down in your chair and close your eyes and focus
Right.
on one thing. There's so many things that can get you there.
From a layman, it would think that I would agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
As long as you can take yourself and your consciousness away from this right here
Mhm.
and put it somewhere else where you can block all that out and just concentrate on one thing, or not concentrate on anything.
Mhm.
There's many different ways to make that
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah. I actually had a Kundalini experience, mountain biking.
The Kundalini.
But that's
We don't want
we
to
don't
go
have
there.
that time.
Okay. Okay.
But I had been doing some of, I don't know if you've ever heard of Sadhguru. I was doing some of his kriyas and breath work, and while I'm mountain biking on the trail, I'm focusing on my breath, doing a specific breathing, and I'm focusing on my heart chakra and trying to literally visualize everybody I ever met in my life and send them love through my heart chakra. And hour or two into mountain biking, something snapped on my bike, and I had to get off my bike to fix it. And so I get off my bike, and all of a sudden I'm like, something's wrong. I need to lay down. And I didn't know why, but I laid down on the ground. I had a Kundalini experience right there in the middle of the woods. It was crazy.
Beautiful. I've heard other people say that they've had them when either biking or they had to pull over in their car or they were on a walk or running. So that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Something about the whole body just getting in the zone with it. And I love that you brought up the heart chakra, because that's the chakras Rick might ask me, but I think most people know our energy centers in the body. And we work a lot from the heart chakra when we're doing any of the work that I offer, because coming from the state of love is where you can make the shift.
We had quite a long conversation with Risa, the one I was just
Mhm.
on the chakras, and she
Yeah.
went into
Nice.
that pretty.
I'll have to listen to her podcast that you guys did.
Yeah, you really
Yeah.
should check it out. You guys are kindred spirits, I'll tell you. That's true.
Yes. Yes. What was that Farming with Good Vibes, or How to Farm with Good Vibes, I think was the name of that
Yeah.
episode. Yeah. She's waving her hand again, calling in the
I
light.
know. Abracadabra, huh?
It's amazing.
My husband, the electrician, he's like, when you walk in the office, the light will turn on, and when you walk out, it'll turn off. I'm like, and what if my Zooms are too long? Whatever, I never changed it.
That's okay. We get to have the fun with it, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Intuitive and divinity guided counseling. We gone there yet?
It might be divinely
Divinely guided. We
Divinely
talked
guided. I was reading Jim's writing.
That's
which
okay.
is not easy to do. So
A bit about the angels and the spirit guides, and sometimes they're, our loved ones cross over. I feel very strongly that my father is my guardian angel, and that he fixed my husband and I up from heaven. We both feel that. He would say, Ivy, why do you keep picking these guys? And I said, they don't make them like you, Dad. And then my beautiful husband, that was it. He walked in my door and I'm like, uh-oh, I'm going to marry him. This was after I said I'm never getting married again, so it kind of freaked me out.
So he walked in your door. You mentioned he's an electrician?
Yes.
So he walked in your house to change your
No, actually, no, it wasn't like that. It was sort of, we met online, but
Okay.
no, it wasn't like
Hey,
that. But this is also manifesting, just I had changed my life a lot. I have a daughter who I believe really was a manifestation. She was given to me. She was my coworker was pregnant with her and offered me her unborn child.
Wow.
And what I had done is bought a little baby's outfit and hung it in my closet because we weren't having success having a child. And then she said, "Do you want my unborn baby?" I didn't even know she was pregnant. So had I not bought that little dress, would I have this little child?
Oh, wow.
Things like that happen.
Yeah.
Also with my healing, I was in a wheelchair for a couple years. I had a lot of trouble walking, and I have manifested my good health. And I do still have hiccups, things come, but when they do come, I say, what is this trying to show me? What is this dis-ease here for? What is my lesson? What is my gift? What do I want to change in myself? Because I feel that most dis-ease physically is something that we need to work on within ourselves. And I start with me when I say that.
Yeah. I like how you're saying dis-ease and not disease.
Correct. Because
Yeah,
I
a
don't
lot of
want to
people don't
own that.
understand. Right. And a lot of people don't understand that the physical disease is coming from that dis-ease within you. That bad vibration, that bad energy within you is creating some form of sickness, some form of
Yes.
cell disruption.
Yeah. And the words carry energy. Words carry vibration. We have to be very careful what we're putting out there in our words, in our sentences. Like I will say to a client, don't say I want, because the universe is going to hear continually that you want it. Say
Yeah, so
thank
you're
you
lacking.
for giving me this, right? Own it, like embody it now. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Megan taught me that lesson a couple years ago.
That's his daughter.
My daughter, she's 31.
Okay.
And I have no idea what it was. But I said something, and maybe I don't know if I was joking or serious. Normally, that's not something I'd be serious about. But I said something negative or bad or this or that about something. She said,
I forgot to
"Yeah, see, I
silence
had
my
mine at the
phone
beginning."
today.
And she goes, "Dad, don't put that out into the universe. Don't go with that negative vibe out there." I'm like, yeah, you're right. And then fast forward, here we are a couple years later, and now I say that to others. And I
You're
didn't know
quoting your
that much.
daughter. I love it. She's got to know
Well, she's smarter than me,
that.
a lot smarter than me. She'll have her master's of science and nursing here in a month or two. So
Nice. Nice.
Yeah,
she wants to be a professor at a college, which she will be.
that's a great job.
Yeah.
Good money,
Yeah.
decent work. Yeah.
If you love it,
So
it's
any final
decent work. Any final?
So any final thoughts or things you want to share with us?
Just say again, abracadabra.
I do. That's fun though.
Yeah.
Just a pleasure to chat with you guys and hang out, and like everybody to know if they want to make changes, start with gratitude in the morning and the night. That's the game changer. Come from a place of love and forgiveness. Don't hold on to dark energies. Don't hold on to anything bad about somebody else. So just try to release that and have a beautiful light day. You can find me at mysticalsoulwork.com or Mystical Soul Work on Facebook, and a little bit Instagram, not as much.
I had kind of a busy morning this morning with my real job, and when I got out of the car and I'm walking up here to do the podcast maybe an hour and a half ago, and I get an email and I open it up and I'm like, oh, and it just was the topping of the morning. I'm like, and then as we're sitting here waiting for you, I'm reading it and I'm like, I just can't believe this. And Jim's like, man, you don't want that going into this. So I did. I shut it down.
Don't bring that bad energy into this podcast.
But listen,
Put your phone down.
for about the first 10 minutes, I really was distracted by that, which is just on the other side. So as I flipped that over, real life's going to be back. But hanging out with you for the last hour has got me a total different outlook on the rest of today.
All
And
right.
I wish we were in the same room because I give you a hug right now.
Oh,
I can feel it.
I just
I
really
feel
got
it.
a really good
you can
feeling.
do a virtual hug.
I
Yeah.
really got a good feeling about this whole just meeting you. I think there's a reason this happened.
Always is. It's been a pleasure, gentlemen.
Likewise, and thank you so much
Thanks,
for
Ivy,
being on
so
our
much.
show.
Thanks.
We'd love to have you back in the future.
Sounds
Oh, the
good.
peace sign, I love it.
Peace out.
So if you just listen to this podcast and you appreciate the content and the work that we're doing, we would love your support. Look in the comment section of this episode, subscribe, rate us, comment. This gets our podcast in front of other listeners. And if you notice, we don't have advertisers. For the cost of a cup of coffee, you can help keep it this way. Become a supporter right now. We'd appreciate it. I'm Jim the Yogi.
I'm Rick the Beach Man.
Peace.